Dear Global Pioneer family and all developer friends dreaming and coding in front of your screens. Hello everyone, I am Chengdiao Fan. Today is January of 2026. The early morning air in Silicon Valley is exceptionally crisp, carrying a sobering coolness. Just now, our core team released a seemingly brief but extremely weighty announcement on Twitter. Pi App Studio now officially supports in-app payment integration and leads with support for debugging using TestPi. Perhaps in the eyes of many ordinary pioneers, this is just an inconspicuous technical update, not as pulse-pounding as price surges or exchange listings. Many people might scroll past it, thinking it is just something for programmers. However, as a builder of the Pi network and as a sociologist who deeply understands the logic of ecosystem evolution, I must tell everyone, this step excites me even more than price fluctuations. It makes me feel more assured than any marketing campaign. If we compare Pi network to a magnificent city under construction, then previously we built the roads, which is the underlying blockchain. We built the shells of the houses, which is the app interface. And today, we have finally connected the most critical, vital, and vibrant thing for this city, the blood circulation system. Today, I want to take everyone into the perspective of a developer, into the depths of the code, to understand why this payment integration function is the necessary path to $1 trillion ecosystem, and the key leap for Pi network from user volume to economic entity. First, we must understand a pain point, a huge pain point that has plagued the Web3 industry for a long time. In the past, if an excellent Web2 developer, for example, a master of casual games or a genius of e-commerce platforms, wanted to transition to Web3 and integrate cryptocurrency payments into their own app, it was an incredibly difficult, even desperate task. They needed to gnaw through those obscure and difficult underlying blockchain documents, learn smart contract languages like Solidity, and understand what RPC nodes and gas fee mechanisms are. They needed to handle complex private key signing logic and constantly worry about typing a wrong character in the code, leading to the loss of user assets or even leading to the entire contract being hacked. This high technical threshold, like a wall of size, ruthlessly shut out countless developers who were creative, enthusiastic, and understood user experience, but did not understand the underlying blockchain. It is like you want to open a bakery in the city to bake delicious bread for everyone. But the city hall tells you you can open a bakery, but you must first learn how to build a power plant, how to lay water pipes, and how to treat sewage before you can open. This is obviously absurd and unreasonable. Bakers should focus on baking bread, and infrastructure like water, electricity, and coal should be provided by the city managers. That is us, the core team of Pi Network. The ultimate vision of Pi App Studio is to turn these power plants and water plants into plug-and-play modules, into foolproof tools. The in-app payment integration updated today is that most critical universal socket. Now, a developer who knows nothing about underlying blockchain technology, as long as they can write web pages or make simple apps, can use Pi App Studio to drag and drop the Pi payment function module directly into their app like building blocks. What does this mean? It means developers no longer need to care how the underlying consensus protocol runs, no longer need to worry about transaction security issues, and no longer need to maintain complex node communications. They only need to focus on what they are best at: designing fun game levels, providing high-quality goods and services, or creating moving content. As for collecting money, Pi Network has encapsulated it for them, turning it into a simple button or even a single line of code. This is technical equality. We have devolved the power of financial technology from the hands of a few blockchain geeks and high and mighty technical elites to tens of millions of ordinary programmers and creators globally. We allow Nicholas's students, freelancers in India, and startup teams in China to stand on the same starting line, using the lowest cost to build applications with world-class payment capabilities. Next, I want to focus on another keyword mentioned in the announcement: TestPi. Many pioneers might ask, Dr. Fan, why not use real Pi directly? We want to see the flow of real money. We can't wait. This is a very good question, and it touches on the core ethics of financial system design, security, and fault tolerance. Please imagine if we used real mainnet Pi for testing, as soon as a commercial app like StarMax was developed. If there was a tiny bug in the code that caused the user to pay 10 pi, but the merchant received 100 pi, or the user paid, money was deducted, but the merchant side showed unpaid and didn't ship. In the real mainnet environment, this asset loss is irreversible. The immutability of blockchain is both its advantage and its biggest disadvantage during the development phase. Once wrong, it cannot be rolled back or revoked. That would be a disaster for the ecosystem and a collapse of user trust. So, we need a sandbox, a safe space that allows for mistakes, explosions, retreats, and crazy experiments. This is the testnet, and this is the meaning of the existence of TestPI. This update allows developers to use TestPI in the App Studio to simulate real payment processes. Developers can crazily test various extreme situations. For example, what happens if 1,000 people pay at the same time? What happens if payment is made when the network is congested? What happens if the user suddenly loses internet connection midway through payment? What happens if the user clicks cancel but the backend has already deducted the money? In this process, no one's real assets will be threatened. Developers can boldly use trial and error, boldly modify code, until the payment process is polished as smooth as silk, until they ensure that not a single bug can threaten the user's wallet. This is like we are building an airplane. Before the airplane actually carries passengers and takes off, it must undergo thousands of simulation tests in a wind tunnel. We must simulate thunderstorms, airflow, and engine failures. TestPI is that wind tunnel. Only after withstanding the test in the wind tunnel can the airplane fly into the blue sky. Only when developers have run through all processes in the testnet and proven the stability, security, and smoothness of the user experience will we allow them to switch the switch to mainnet mode and start receiving real Pi. This is being responsible to the ecosystem, and even more responsible to every pioneer's wallet. We would rather spend a little more time in the testing phase than let everyone lose even 1 Pi in the mainnet phase. So, what does the launch of this feature mean for us, ordinary pioneers? For those of us who don't write code, it means that in the coming few months, we will see a blowout in the number of ecosystem applications. Previously, many developers wanted to join the Pi ecosystem, but because payment interfaces were too hard to connect, they could only make simple information, query, or pure chat apps. Although these apps have value, they cannot generate real economic transactions and cannot form a commercial closed loop. If developers don't make money, they naturally have no motivation to continue updating. Now, the obstacle to payment has been moved away. We will see game developers can easily sell equipment, skins, and revival coins in games. And players can buy with one click using Pi experiencing smoothness. Like mobile game top-ups, e-commerce developers can quickly build shopping websites, selling everything from coffee to clothes, from electronic products to services, with the shopping cart checkout page directly calling up the Pi wallet. Content creators can set up paid reading or fan tipping functions, where every like is accompanied by the flow of Pi. Even some offline service reservations, such as haircuts, manicures, and housekeeping, can achieve booking and payment through simple Pi payment interfaces. When payment becomes as natural as breathing, utility is no longer an empty word, no longer a cold concept on the white paper. It becomes every click of your fingertip, every exchange in your life. We will see the circulation speed of Pi in the ecosystem, which is what economics calls the velocity of money, rise exponentially. Pi is no longer dead money, lying in lockup accounts, no longer a collectible everyone is reluctant to move. It becomes a sprite, jumping between countless applications, becoming the energy driving the operation of the entire digital economy. And the starting point of all this is this seemingly plain technical update today. It is like adding the first tank of fuel to a built sports car. Dear family, Nicholas, and I have always believed in one sentence: great products should be invisible to users. When you use an iPhone, you don't need to know how the chips inside are arranged. When you scan a code with Alipay, you don't need to know how the bank clearing system behind it works. When you press a switch to turn on the light, you don't need to know how the turbine of the power plant rotates. What we are doing is using tools like Pi App Studio to completely hide the complex blockchain underlayer of Pi network behind the scenes. In the future, when we socialize in Blind Lounge, finding like-minded friends, manage our assets in Gargura, or run for Pi, enjoying the fun of games, We might not even realize the existence of the blockchain. We only know that paying with Pi is convenient, safe, and fast. We don't need to copy that long string of complex wallet addresses. Don't need to worry about typing the wrong network channel. And don't need to calculate high gas fees. This is the ultimate state we pursue, perceptionless Web3. Only when technology becomes perceptionless can it truly serve the public, serve those 60 million or even 6 billion ordinary people. Today's update is a big gift we sent to global developers at the beginning of 2026. It is a hammer, a shovel, and also a blueprint. I want to say to all developers, the tools are ready, the stage is set, and the spotlight is on. Please use your imagination to create applications that make 60 million pioneers scream. Do not worry about payment issues. Do not worry about technical issues. Pi App Studio is your strongest backing. You only need to be responsible for the brilliance. Leave the rest to us. I want to say to all pioneers, please maintain patience and expectation. With the popularization of this function, you will soon find that the Pi in your hands becomes easier to use. The things you can buy become more numerous, and the services you can experience become richer. That digital life where Pi connects everything, which we dreamed of, is becoming reality step by step. This is not just a code update. This is the awakening of the ecosystem's self-sustaining mechanism. This is the key turning point for us, moving from building the network to operating the network. Let us look forward to the arrival of that day together. Look forward to the full advent of the Pi network era, where everything is connected and value flows freely. Thank you, everyone.